Awesome. All right, so I want to first start out and talk about a word that a few months ago I didn't even know existed. My friend asked me if I wanted to do a TEDx talk, and I knew I wanted to talk about something that could help people help themselves. I had this mindset and a way of thinking that I'd been using for a while, and I wanted to know if I could apply this and talk to people about it so it could help people. Today I'll be talking about introspection. Introspection's actually been used for a while by numerous scientists and philosophers, and nowadays it's used to theorize about things that we can't see. Of course, we can see the brain with like EEGs and fMRIs, but there are certain concepts that we can't precisely see with imaging, such as the idea of the self or consciousness. So I'll be talking to you about introspection. Introspection is looking in at your own thoughts, your own emotions, and analyzing them as if you were a stranger. You're looking at who you are, free of bias, and analyzing how you can improve and find solutions. Let's start out by talking about a few ways that introspection has impacted me and how I've used it in my life. First off, I'm a runner. I don't know why. It kind of sucks, but sixth grade Colin decided to choose running, so I've been running ever since. Running is an extremely mental sport, especially distance running. You're stuck in your mind for like 18 minutes, and it's all about the pain. My coaches like to say it's 100% mental and 10% physical, so you're always giving 110%. I knew this was a fact, and I always try to hype myself up mentally and feel powerful during the races, but I didn't realize how important this was and how much I could use this to my advantage until about halfway through the season this year. I had a really bad race, horrible, and it threw me off varsity, and it shook me. And the next week, I was like, all right, I got to get back on varsity. How can I improve this? So I changed my eating habits, I trained harder, and the next race was even worse. I didn't know what I could do. I decided then to look at my thoughts and my feelings. Whenever I pictured myself at the start of the race or in the middle of the race, all of them were negative. It was terrible. Whenever I thought, oh, I'm about to start the race, I would feel tired. I'd say, Colin, you're going to suck. This is going to be horrible. But then I decided that this wasn't the case. I was going to correct each thought I had with a polar opposite of it. When I thought you're going to be slow, I'd tell Colin, you're blazing fast, all right? Whenever I thought you're going to be tired, you're going to be energetic. I wrote in a notebook hundreds of times, you're going to be confident, you're going to be fast, you're going to be powerful. And lo and behold, when the race came up, I felt all the adjectives I wrote down in the notebook. Another way that introspection has helped me, you'll understand this later. I love backpacking, and I've been backpacking for about 15 years. And I've taken to recently doing more solo trips because you really get to learn a lot about yourself. And I was in the middle of Virginia. My parents don't know this was solo, so this is to them right now. I was in the middle of Roanoke, Virginia, backpacking the Triple Crown backpacking trail. And I got to the trailhead, and I was ready. I got out, hiked 10 miles out, and I got this overwhelming feeling of fear. I didn't know what it was. Usually when you're outside and you get this overwhelming feeling of fear, there's a problem. So I look around, and I see this horrible image. I don't know if you can see it, probably because you're not delusional like I was, but I thought this right here was a massive bear ready to maul me. So immediately I get my pack up on my shoulders, I clutch my bear spray, and I start singing Happy Birthday to Winnie the Pooh. Winnie the Pooh doesn't move because Winnie the Pooh is a log. I then decided it's in my best interest to completely retreat, go all the way back to my car, turn a 10-mile hike into a 20-mile hike, uphill, and I'm back at the exact same place I started. So as I'm sitting on the side of the road with cars passing me, chowing down on some ramen noodles, I'm thinking, why did I do that? Why did I turn around? Why did I make something that brought me enjoyment into something that turned me fearful? And I looked at my thoughts whenever I pictured myself going back into the trail or when I was seeing Winnie the Pooh over here, and they were all negative again. I was doubting my experience, and I was doubting how I was going to control my environment, and again, this was not the case. So I directly counteracted each of my feelings and told myself, you have years of experience. You're an Eagle Scout. You've got a big backpack to scare away any bears and a big old can of bear spray to mess up anything you see. So I continued on, and I turned the 3-day hike into a 2-day hike, and it was one of the most enjoyable and relaxing hikes I've ever been on. Lastly, I've taken some challenging courses sophomore year, and I didn't realize how much it had an impact on me until I started to see how the stress helped me, or how the stress impacted me. Whenever I thought about a test in the future, or I was thinking about how I was going to fail and be miserable, I would start messing with my eyebrow. It's a weird little tick. Some of my friends who knew me sophomore year knew that I did it quite frequently, and it got kind of bad. Yeah. So I decided to look at my thoughts and my feelings again and see whenever I was reaching towards my eyebrow, what I was doing. This one was specifically easy because whenever my hand would go towards my face, I'd be like, stop, what are you thinking about? And I'd realize that almost 100% of the time, whenever I was reaching up there, I was thinking about the future. I wasn't living in the past. I wasn't focusing on the now. I was focusing on what could happen. And immediately I told myself, Colin, you can affect the stuff in the future to a certain degree. Once you're done with the things that you can do, which are studying, preparing yourself, there's nothing you can do in the future except for wait for it to happen. Once I told myself that, my eyebrows grew back to the luscious ones they are now, and I was able to come across that or step past that. So introspection can be used by all of you. And simply being aware of your internal dialogue and your internal thought process is amazing. A way that it can all help us is in social environments. We're social creatures. We need to be. We need a community to grow our well-being, and without it, things are going to get bad. So when we're in these relationships, they can get complicated. As every third grader knows, things can get really messy. Whenever we have feelings of ego or self-deprecation, they can manifest themselves in our social situations, be it in school or in business. And when we're aware of these, we can start to acknowledge how we can help these. When we notice ourselves talking down to someone, we'll realize, oh, I've got this massive ego that I need to deflate. Or if we realize we're talking up to people, we can notice that and we can change that. Once we become aware of ourselves, we gain an extremely powerful tool called perspective. I think perspective, or the lack thereof, is one of the root of all problems in our society. When you don't have perspective, you're not seeing where people are coming from. You're not seeing how they're thinking. And whenever we look at like politics or even the family dinner at Thanksgiving, like we'll all see, they're arguing. This arguing is because we're not able to see where other people are coming from. As any psychologist knows, whenever you're trying to argue with somebody, almost it's doing the exact opposite. So when we gain perspective, we can deepen and nourish our relationships, be it in business or socially. Another way that introspection can help us is mental health. Mental health, unfortunately, has just recently become on the rise because it's an issue that impacts all of us. And if it were aware and people were aware of it and we acknowledged it, there would be so many better things in life. But now we're acknowledging it and we're actually taking steps to take care of people with mental health problems. With introspection, we can become aware of these problems. Life throws us a lot of crap, and that's going to be a constant. We need to learn how to jump over the hurdles, or more importantly, pick ourselves up after we completely eat it after falling one. When we pick ourselves up or we're facing a problem, we need to look at the reaction, the knee-jerk reaction to a stressor in life. When we take this knee-jerk reaction, we're realizing how we're dealing with the stressors. If it goes to self-deprecation or substance, we can realize the help we need to get. And once we're aware of the internal thought process that we're dealing with when we're faced with problems in our lives, we can get help and we can step past them. We're looking inside of ourselves and able to notice the problems. And noticing these problems is extremely beneficial. The mindfulness movement has been something that's been growing exponentially, as you can see right here, over time. And mindfulness is key with introspection because when we realize our thoughts are going everywhere, as they always are, the Buddhists call it the monkey mind. We're going one thought to the next thought. Even right now, we're thinking about everything. We're thinking about like what I ate for dinner like 4 days ago. When we take a breath through yoga or through meditation, we stop. We take a breath and we're in the now. We're not ruminating about the past, or we're not being anxious about the future. We're in the present and we're taking a breath. A problem that introspection has that can be solved with the exact same thing, introspection, is rumination. Rumination is a problem with everybody. When we're focusing about an event in the past and playing it over and over and over again, we're torturing ourselves. What we need to do about rumination in using introspection is to find a solution. The goal of introspection is to find a solution so that we can grow. And if we're playing something over and over again, we're not growing from it. So when we're looking at an event in the past, we need to ask ourselves, what can I learn from this? What is this trying to teach me? And if you can't answer any of these questions, it's time to let go and step past that. Introspection is looking within ourselves, looking at how our thoughts and our feelings affect our day-to-day life. And once we're aware and open our eyes to who we are internally, we can start to connect and nurture each other's lives, and we can connect with other people. Introspection is looking within, growing within, and then expressing ourselves throughout the rest of the world. There we go. That's the quote I wanted to end on.